Hello my girls and welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome if you're new here. This is a video that I think I've kind of filmed like conceptually similar in the past, but I don't really like the way that I did it. Today's video is what I read in a week as a full-time worker, employee, full-time girly, 9-to-5 girl, whatever you want to call it. I read a lot, honestly, and actually, I feel like that's a lie because usually I do read a lot, but we just got out of a book slump, so I have not been reading a lot. But with me just now getting out of a book slump, I'm probably going to be reading a lot. Just like when I'm in it, like I'm in it, and like there's no slowing me down. So it is Tuesday. I'm starting a little bit late. We skipped Sunday and Monday, but I saw Destiny Sidwell make this video, and she did it from her perspective as a booktuber. So I thought it would be fun to do it from my perspective as a 9-to-5 girl. I loved watching her video and wanted to make my own. I'm not trying to copy by any means, and I never wanted to come across like that, but that's also why I have trouble like stepping out of the content that I currently make. It's because I never ever want anyone to think that I'm copying them. So if you think this is copying, I'm so sorry. I just thought it would be fun. So also every single week is different for me, as I'm sure it is for a lot of people. This is just going to be this week. Let's just get into the video. I know you guys don't care about all of that. On Sunday, I finished Skyshade. I did not start this on Sunday. I started it on the 14th, which I don't know what day that was. I'm just giving you numbers. But I finished this on Sunday. Skyshade, which is the third book in the Lightlark series. It's Lightlark, Nightbane, and Skyshade. Skyshade came out last week. Whatever day it was last week, end of November is just what I've been calling it. My initial review and like what I talked about in my vlog was that I loved this and I ate it up. And now that I've discussed with some of my friends who also read the series, I am not so sure anymore because I do feel very confused by it. It doesn't mean that I don't like it. I changed my 5-star rating to a 4-star rating on Goodreads. And it's not that I didn't enjoy it. I think it's because at the very ending, like I would say the last 50 pages, I was very confused. There's gonna be no spoilers, by the way. The thing about this series is that you are in the third person point of view. However, you still like know what they're thinking, right? Like they're narrating their thoughts to us. Okay, so like that, none of that came out right, but we know what they're thinking. We're not like being surprised by anything unless somebody outside of whoever's chapter this is betrays them or lies to them or does something like that. And in the last 30 pages, it's like she was telling us her feelings, but they were not aligning with what she was doing, as though like she's saying like, hey, I am going to do XYZ, but then her actions are like doing ABC. And it's like, wait, what? That was very confusing, and this was supposed to be a trilogy. It was turned into I think it's going to end up being a 5-book series. So one other full book and a novella in 2025. And I just waited so long for this book, and I think that it would have wrapped up so nicely, like literally could not have wrapped up any better if it was just a trilogy. But that doesn't make me not excited to like still be a part of their world and to still read about them. I am excited about that. However, at some point, the storyline of it does become tiresome. So if you're not creating a storyline that can last 5 books, right? If you're not going into it thinking, I'm writing 5 books, I mean, obviously things can change, but if you're going into it thinking like trilogy, if you're going into the first book, trilogy, second book, trilogy, even when she was going into the third book, she thought it was just a trilogy. It's just like, it feels that way. Like we can tell that, you know, as the reader. So 4 stars for that. Loved it, still confused though. And then on Monday, I started and finished Swift and Saddled by Lyla Sage. This is a cowboy romance. It's a part of the Rebel Blue Ridge series. And I loved Done and Dusted. Done and Dusted was the first book. But my sister sent me an Amazon gift card for my birthday, and I was like, oh, I know what I'm doing with this. I know what I'm doing. So I bought the next 2 books, read Swift and Saddled in one day, and I loved this one. Again, I heard some other people's, I love to hear other people's reviews of things after I read it, because like as long as like I felt good about the book, then I'm like, oh, absolutely. But then I hear other people's point of views and I'm like, oh my god, I didn't even think about that because I was just being so obsessive. I heard someone else's review of this, and I do think that books are just so dependent on what you're into, even like when it comes down to your life experiences, like what you've been through and stuff like that, and that is going to lead to how much you're able to understand the character. And that doesn't mean you're not going to enjoy this book if you don't understand the female main character. I'm just saying there will be a different level of enjoyment, because from an outside perspective, this seems like the girl is giving 0 effort and the male main character is giving 100% effort, and she just does nothing. However, if you have been through something similar as the girl in this book, the female main character in this book, then you'll understand where she's coming from, and it'll feel almost healing to you, like the way the male main character is, and you'll see what the female main character is bringing to the table, right? I don't know. I loved this book. I rated this book, I want to say 5 stars. I thought it was so good. I also wanted to say, like, for my rating process, all of it is separate in my head, right? So I've rated the Throne of Glass series 5 stars, and you put this beside the Throne of Glass series and you're like, girl, how did those two both get 5 stars? No, not for me. Okay, so romantasy and fantasy are in their own league. I rate them as like, this is a 5-star fantasy, right? Okay, so for small town romances, like cowboy romances and stuff like that, Lyla Sage is the cream of the crop for me. I am obsessed with her writing style. I'm obsessed with the pacing of her books. I have also read, what is her name? Elsie Silver and one other girl, and they just don't even, for me, they don't even come close to Lyla Sage. So for cowboy romances, yes, this is a 5-star. Yes, the first one was a 5-star. And I honestly feel the same about both of them. I do not feel as though one was better than the other. I feel like these are interconnected beautifully, and the importance between the two are so different. So anyways, that was what I read Monday. And then today is Tuesday, and I started Lost and Lassoed this morning. I'm on chapter 17, page 111. These books are very short. I know I'm like kind of swinging past the fact that I read it in one day really quick, but they're not very long books. There's a sneak peek of the unreleased final book in the series. I just realized that. This one is 300 pages and the other one was 288. However, the font is like kind of big. Pages are kind of small. It's a relatively small book when you look at it beside other books. Yeah, I'm on Lost and Lassoed now. This one is about, I guess I didn't explain that good enough. So the first book is about a sister falling in love with her brother's best friend. The second book is about her other brother falling in love with the interior designer that they hired on at the ranch. And then this third book is about the other brother falling in love with his sister's best friend now. So like, she fell in love with his best friend, and now that same brother is about to fall in love with her best friend. I haven't got to that point. That's not a spoiler. That is the trope of the book, is brother falls in love with his sister's best friend. This is actually along with being a small town romance and sister's best friend, this is also, or best friend's brother, this is also a single dad romance book, and I am obsessed with the characters in this one. Honestly, I really love the banter. I've wanted to laugh out loud like multiple times. And again, I cannot stress enough just how good the pacing in these books are. Like, it is everything that I ever wanted it to be. I love nothing more than a quick paced book, but I don't like when it's so fast paced that you don't understand what's going on. This one handles all of it perfectly. I'm obsessed with it. And a big problem that I have with romances or small town romances in general, because my favorite genre is romantasy, the biggest problem I have with romances in general is it can be very cringy. It can be very repetitive. Like, I don't know, a lot of romances that I've read before, they repeat themselves, like random phrases that they'll just latch onto and repeat it over and over again, especially if it's something like hockey or cowboy. Like, once you get in depth like that as well, they'll like find one phrase that they saw when they looked up what hockey player slang is, and they'll use it over and over and over again. And I have found one phrase that she's repeated probably 3 times between the 3 books. It's whip smart. She calls them whip smart. And actually it was only 2 times, unless it did happen in the first and I'm just forgetting, because I read the first one a good while before these 2. I don't like that. I do not like whip smart. That really bothers me. But comparatively to other specifically small town romance books that I've read, this is not, like, no cringe, no weird wordage, nothing. Like, it's just good. It just is plain and simply good, and I find that to be my favorite books in every genre, is when it's just plain good. And they're really, it's like not flashy, it's not trying too hard, it just is good. So that's how I feel about these books. I will most likely not finish this today. I have a lot to get done around the house, but I am obsessed with it so far. I will be reading it as late as possible. I'm going to do a couple things around the house, and then I'm going to be sitting and reading. If you can't tell, it is the perfect day to be reading. It's nice and cozy. It's rainy, cold outside. I'm going to cuddle up with a blanket, and it's just going to be so great. The vibes are 10 out of 10 here. Hi girls, it is Wednesday and I actually read a lot yesterday. I was just in it. Okay girls, this book has taken me by storm. This whole series, if we're being honest, has taken me by storm. So I'm reading Lost and Lassoed still and I'm on page 196 now. So I have about 100 pages left. I'm sure that I will finish this today. And then we are getting into some exciting stuff. I got a Books A Million gift card for my birthday from my sister and brother-in-law. And I got the Serpent of Swords and Wings or something like that, and that is what we're reading next. I had enough money on the gift card to go ahead and buy the first and second one, and can I just say I am obsessed with the fact that they're both in paperback. I'm a paperback girly. I really prefer everything to be in paperback, and I've also considered all the hardbacks of my fantasy books that have come back in paperback. I might go and like repurchase and like maybe sell my hardbacks to the bookstore and buy new ones instead of keeping those. I love a cohesive bookshelf. I think that's the most beautiful thing you can have, but I do have some thoughts about what I've read so far in Lost and Lassoed, just because it's not entirely what I was expecting. I was trying to explain it to my boyfriend and I couldn't get the words right, so I'm gonna try again. Essentially, the other books have been like big things that they're working through or going through, and they're going through them together, and that's what brings them closer, and that's kind of how they fall in love. Lost and Lassoed, since they've known each other for so long, it's kind of weird because it's like just showing their day-to-day since she's being his nanny over the summer. And I do sometimes find it hard to really get to the plot and the point of the book when it's like that. And while I'm enjoying all of this, I'm just kind of like, where is the plot kind of thing, if that makes sense. Not necessarily where's the plot, but like, where are we going? Like, I can't figure out where this book is going. Are we just going to read day to day until they fall in love? Which that's fine if that is the book. I just wasn't expecting that off of the first two books. This one feels really different, not necessarily in a bad way, just in an I'm kind of confused way, but that could be my fault for going into it with the wrong expectations. But with that being said, I'm still loving it. I think it's great. I love these characters so much. I really love Teddy. I think that she is a great female main character, and Gus is just the grumpiest dude. He's just the grumpiest little guy, and I think that's hilarious. I love that. I love a grumpy male main character because mine is grumpy. My boy is grumpy boy. Not all the time, but most people think he's grumpy and he's actually not, but he does have an RBF. Anyways, not the point. I'll talk to you this afternoon if I've read more and if we start a new book, but I do have a lot to do. I have Friendsgiving at the end of this week, so I'm not sure how much reading is going to end up getting done for the rest of the week, but I am just loving reading right now. I'm back in my reading era. I always come back to her and she's just the best. Hi girly pops, I just got back from work and we finished Lost and Lassoed. I rated this book 4 out of 5 stars. I rated the other two 5 out of 5 stars. I loved this book. Okay, let me first, because I'm about to critique some things about it, but I loved it. Okay, so the gist of this one is that this guy right here, his name is Gus. He's our male main character. He is a single dad. He co-parents with a girl that they never really even dated. They just kind of hooked up. So like it was never weird vibes, never like relationshipy vibes. They just are really good co-parents. And his baby mama was going to Jackson Hole or something like that, to work at a law firm, to work at a law firm to study for the bar exam because she failed it and she was going back to study again so she could take it again. And so he's single dadding it up for realsies all by himself and running an entire farm, like an 800-acre farm. And so he's struggling. He's down bad. Teddy, our female main character, she is honestly just like losing a lot of things right now. So like her best friend just got engaged. She feels like that relationship has changed. She loses her job, and it's like a job that she's been working and putting her all into for a really long time. And it just feels like she is getting left behind in life. And so when she loses her job, she needs a new one, obviously. So she becomes this guy's nanny. But the big part about this book is they hate each other, okay? Like you learned in the first two books, these two, they don't like each other at all. But it just ends up her being his nanny. And so that's kind of how the storyline gets set up and goes throughout. However, where this took a turn and I wasn't as much sure about was when it was telling the story. It was very much so day to day. I know I said this earlier, but it carried through to the end. Very much so, like not big things happening whatsoever. And I do not like a second act breakup, but there just wasn't much like happening. It felt like it's strange to explain because it was still good. I still did like it, but this was literally just like if someone sat down and like typed about their day every single day, almost like a diary entry. Like everything was good, but like nothing was really happening, if that makes any sort of sense to you. So I skim read probably the last 10 pages of it just because I knew what was happening. I knew the gist of the story. It was good. I rated it 4 out of 5 stars in comparison to the other two that were 5 out of 5 stars. I have a lot of deep cleaning to do, but I guess I will take you girls to my TBR shelf and show you what I plan on reading next because I'm super excited about it. I really should start reading the books that have been on my TBR for a while and not just read the brand new books that I buy, but I did get a Books A Million gift card, and I think I already told you girls this, so I'm so sorry if I am repeating myself, but the next book that we will be reading is The Serpent and the Wings of Night. And I'm very excited. I am really excited for this one. I've been seeing really good reviews on it. I follow a girl on Instagram, and I can't think of her name right now, but I'll put her Instagram right here. She did a really fun silent book review, and she was eating it up, honestly, this review. So that has made me very excited for the book. I will let you know when we start this, but it will not be right now. Probably will be tonight, just not right now.
The days pass in a blur. Haven't said a word to my friends.
Hello my girls, happy Thursday. So I have not read as much today, obviously, as I have the other days. I started The Serpent and the Wings of Night, which so far it's good, but obviously it's a fantasy, so it's very slow at the beginning. It's just kind of world building, which can be boring to say the least, but important for later. So I haven't read too much. I am on part 2 of this book. I don't know how many parts it is. It's chapter, that says interlude, chapter 5, page 45. So that is what I'm at. So far, it's about this human girl, and she is found by like the king of one of the groups of vampires, and he raises her as his daughter, and she's going to fight in this competition, and whoever wins gets like one thing granted by Nyaxia, which is essentially the god of the vampire worlds, and she's going to ask to be invincible pretty much. I don't want to spoil it in any way, but that is sort of what it's setting up to be like for right now. It is very interesting. It's just every single little detail has to be explained since it is a fantasy. So we'll see where I get to. I've requested the day off tomorrow, so maybe I'll find some time to read, but I do have a lot to do this weekend. But so far, so good. I don't know. There isn't much to say about it yet. It's world building, and that's the gist of it.
And control the rain. And I keep looking for my peace and false realities and broken dreams. I am stuck in a tailspin, feeling stuck in my own skin, and it's warm.
The update is that there is no update. I barely read today. I have probably added on like maybe 2 or 3 chapters from what we did do, and I'm definitely more interested now. I just have not had the time to read because I have a busy weekend ahead of me, but it is Saturday, so that's the end of what I read in a week. I am so glad that you guys watched, and I hope you have a great week.